Welcome to episode 8 of the A Game. I'm your host, Allie Powell, and we have a crazy show for you tonight. We will soon be joined by Noah C. Cornelius and Eric Fisher to get their thoughts on the huge win over Coastal and to help us preview the homecoming game against ULM Saturday. And we will recap some big wins from last week. All this and more coming to you now. All right, Noah C. Cornelius and Eric Fisher now joining us. So guys, App State got their first win over a ranked team since Michigan in 2007 on Wednesday against Coastal Carolina. So what are your thoughts on the team's performances during the game?
It was like I want to say, it was a perfect game, but I want to apologize. I said a cold take. I said, I think they're going to lose. I said, and no, you remember this. Yep. I said, I hoped I was wrong, and you said, I hope I was wrong. So I was wrong, so luckily for that. But, everything went perfect. Chase Bryce played great. The adjustments were great by the coaching staff. The defense played great, especially in the trenches, the defensive line. Demetrius Taylor was also being named the Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Week for his performance. He played great. Caleb Sperling had a great game. DeMarco Jackson as well. So it's just like all cylinders. Everything was good. They shut down the passing threat and Isaiah Likely, holding him to only 2 catches. So, yeah, it was perfect.
Since we're on the subject of apologies, Chase Bryce, I got to apologize to you as well because I tore into him in that loss against the Raging Cajuns. But in this game, he came out of the gate strong, and he finished with 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 92.7 QBR. He did everything he needed to do in order to win this game. They were down 14-0 at one point, and that did not faze Chase Bryce. He was finding his men all day. And speaking of his men, too, Malik Williams came up in clutch because somebody has to catch the balls Chase Bryce is throwing, and Malik Williams did that because Malik Williams was the first player to have over 200 yards in an App State game since 2012. All-around great game for Chase Bryce and his receiving core as well.
Yeah, and like you said with Malik Williams, it was really nice to see, a receiver kind of go up and get the ball, play more aggressive and not really wait for the ball and kind of wait for for a pass to come get it. He stepped back to it and he made good catches in double coverage. I believe there was the one, I think it was 3rd down. Chase Bryce kind of threw it. It almost looked like a prayer type throw down the field. And I believe it was Malik Williams, just went up and grabbed it over 2 defenders. And that's when I just felt like I was we're gonna win this game. Something inside I was we have to win now. It just the momentum, everything about the game just felt perfect.
Yeah, we did win the game, and I'm happy we did because if we didn't win the game, I don't know what I would do, honestly.
Great stuff, guys. Who would you say were the MVPs of the game?
Well, I was just talking about him, Malik Williams. Like I said, he was the first player to have over 200 yards in an App State game since 2012. Receiving yards, I should make that clear. 206 yards in the game. He was just, he went nuclear. And, Chase Bryce also played great, but for a wide receiver to get 206 yards in a single game, that's incredible. So Malik Williams is my pick for the game MVP.
Yeah, I've criticized play calling a lot, so I want to go with Sean Clark. I believe the game plan, it started off a little shaky, we're down 14-0, but to not really let that phase you and still go with some gutsy play calls on the onside kick and then swing back the momentum in your favor. You're at home, so you always have the fans behind you, and they took advantage of that. I think the atmosphere played a big part in the game, but Sean Clark put together a fantastic game and just the adjustments, and they came out in the second half looking like the stronger team, which was great because in the Louisiana game I thought that would happen. They were down big, and I thought they would come out and show hey, we're not going to get pushed around like this. We know we're the better team, and it didn't feel like that. It felt like they were oh, we're losing, I guess we're just going to lose. And in this game it wasn't like that. It was hey, we're down, we know we can win this game, we're at home. We're playing a team, probably our best team of the year so far by the ranking system. They were. And that didn't faze them at all. And they knew it was a Sun Belt game. They knew it was their biggest game of the season, and they did not let that faze them. And that has to go on the coaching staff. So that was a great job by them.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. I think, also playing at home, playing in front of these fans, and playing on ESPN, that definitely played into it too. It gave them some energy going into the game, and they were not about to let the Chanticleers take a win on their home turf.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I was at the game personally, and the energy was crazy. What did you guys think about the atmosphere in the stadium?
I thought the atmosphere was incredible. I was also at the game, and I had the privilege of doing some sideline reporting for a field package. And after we won the game, I was like, that was one of the greatest games in App State history. And people were coming like, whoa, yeah. And I was like, okay, this is great. But I was up in the box writing for the Appalachian newspaper. Shout out to the sports desk. And I was looking on the field. And when they kicked that field goal and I saw everybody run down there, a part of me was like, should I sprint down to the field and run the goal? But I had to remain professional. Obviously, I don't want a bunch of NFL scouts looking at me like, hey, what is this kid doing? But no, oh my goodness, I can't even put it into words. It was just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and like one thing I know, like being at just like in like different colleges, sometimes like even when you're up big or like even in a big game, sometimes people just leave at halftime just cause. And I mean, it was a Wednesday night. I had an 8 a.m. the next day personally.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't feeling too great the next morning because I was exhausted waking up and I just felt like I didn't get much sleep. But I mean, like everyone stuck around and they were into the game the entire time. It just was like an insane atmosphere. And I've been to some like great college football games. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the UNC NC State game that Giovanni Bernard ran a punt for the game-winning touchdown at the very end of the game to beat NC State at UNC, and I went to that game. In this game, I feel like for the atmosphere personally was even better.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the most iconic college football games as well. But something about this game just felt special, and it was.
No, I mean, it's going to go down in App State history as one of the biggest games of all time. It was only the second time they ever beat a ranked opponent. I mean, the first time was, against Michigan in 2007. And now we can finally come out of that shadow because everybody's like, isn't App State the team that beat Michigan? But now they can talk about them as the team that beat number 14 ranked Coastal Carolina as well.
All right, stay with us because after the break, Noah and Eric are going to give us the rundown on the upcoming game against ULM and who we should be watching out for.
Hey, do you have way too much time on your hands?
Do you love watching people act a fool?
Do you like to learn how amazing the LGBTQ plus community is?
Well, yeah,
Us?
us too. That's why we made this show, Can't Think Straight.
I'm Harriet.
And I'm Nate. We are your esteemed hosts.
We'll provide you non-stop laughs as well as a sprinkle of queer education to get you through your day.
Can't Think Straight will premiere Fridays at 9 p.m. You can watch it on watchapptv.com or any of these TV channels.
Can't wait to see you there.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back. I'm Allie Powell alongside Noah C. Cornelius and Eric Fisher. So guys, it's homecoming week and we are taking on ULM on Saturday. So how do you think App State should be preparing for this game?
I think you just kind of stick with the same game plan, but know your strengths. It's the run game. You have Cameron Peoples, you have Nate Noel, you have Dietrich Harrington. You just have a great backfield that not many other colleges can say they have. I mean, like a lot of these guys can be starting on other programs as well. So I think you have to take advantage of that and just really like Cameron Peoples, he stepped up. He likes to play, I feel like, in those big games, and he showed it against Coastal. So I think you stick with the run game, even if it gets like in a close game situation. You know it's your strength, so you stick with that as well. But don't be afraid to, throw the deep ball in. Chase Bryce is hot, so use him as well. But I think you can keep the consistent pressure on the quarterback as well. Watch the mobility of Rodgers as well for ULM. But I think if they just kind of ride the momentum, it should be a good game for them.
Yeah, talking about Chandler Rogers. Chandler Rogers had 369 yards and 4 touchdowns versus rival South Alabama. And he also had 225 yards and 2 touchdowns versus Liberty on the road, but he also had an interception. On the year, Rogers has not 8 interceptions. He has only 2 interceptions on the year. But the App State defense is very strong, and they could increase that interception number a little bit. But all they have to do is smother the quarterback, like you said, make sure that he can't get mobile and can't get to his wide receivers. And I think if they do that, they can shut him down effectively and not have to worry about ULM.
Yeah, like you said, turnovers. I feel like we should have seen more throughout the season already, and I think this is a game to really turn around, build more momentum, and hopefully we win out and get in that Sun Belt championship as well.
So who should we be looking out for in this game? Specific players, do you think?
You mentioned him, Chase Rogers, quarterback for ULM. I mean, he's a mobile quarterback. And I think it's going to be different dealing with that. Grayson McCall has the mobility, but he doesn't use it as much as Rodgers does. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But like you said, only 2 interceptions on the year. So supplying pressure on him will be big. And I think it's going to really come down to the linebackers and the defensive line in that game. They're going to have to watch out for him. But also, continuing on ULM, Andrew Henry, running back for them. He's a talented running back. He has 371 rushing yards on the season to go along with 3 touchdowns. But, that's a lower number compared to other running backs, especially in App State. We run the ball a lot, and we have talented running backs. But we've seen, the run game hasn't been too great this season so far, or run defense. So I'm interested to see. I think ULM might attack that, and they might try and take advantage of that.
Yeah. For me, for ULM player, I picked Travion Webster. He has 52 tackles on the season. That's solid. I think, he is their main guy on defense. So you're going to have to obviously look out for him. But he doesn't really strike fear into opponents like our guy, DeMarco Jackson, does. DeMarco Jackson has 68 tackles on the season versus Travion Webster's 52. Ironically, I didn't even pick DeMarco Jackson as a player to look out for on app. I'm just saying that to put it into perspective. No, but another player for ULM we need to look out for is Boogie Knight. Boogie Knight is one of the most reliable receivers that Chandler Rogers looks at. 360 yards on the season. Again, a little bit lower, but, playing a team like ULM, that's kind of to be expected. But, yeah, so I picked Boogie Knight and Travion Webster, wide receiver, linebacker. I think those are the guys we have to look out for on ULM.
Yeah, and for App State, I kind of wanted to highlight the linebacker, TD Roof. I think he's had a good season, and I think, once again, he'll come into play for this game as well. And Malik Williams, of course. You can't overlook his game. He's hot going in this game, and I expect him to continue the great performance.
Yeah, I also said Malik Williams. He's hot. I think, keep feeding him the ball. Let's see what he does with it. But I also said Cam Peoples. Cam Peoples scored 2 massive rushing touchdowns in the win versus Coastal. And I think that if Cam Peoples can stay healthy in this game, he can also help get us, I'm not going to say back on track, but that he can help us keep winning.
Yeah.
So.
And before we go to break, what are your predictions for the game?
38-24 Mountaineers. I'm not afraid of ULM. I don't think that they're going to give us a challenge, but we can't go into it thinking that we're going to win it automatically. We have to execute. We have to fire on all cylinders. We have to beat them into the ground, and I think we can do just that. Playing at home in front of a fired-up crowd on a Saturday, 38-24 Mountaineers.
Yeah, I'm going 37-17 Mountaineers. I think it's going to be a good game. I think the turnovers, it's finally going to come to the defense. They've been getting pressure on the quarterbacks more and more we've seen throughout the season, especially against Coastal. I think it's going to be a continuing trend, and I think it's finally going to just, things are going to go back to how we expected it this season, and they're going to get the big win on homecoming.
Yeah, well, let's hope our predictions are right, because I said Coastal will win. Sorry, I said App State will win by 3 on a game-winning field goal, and I was right by that. So let's hope we're right.
I hope I'm I hope I'm right in this one, but not like last.
Not picking the opponent this time. I see. You learned.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Noah and Eric, for joining us this week. When we come back, it is a huge weekend for the soccer team and both cross-country teams. We will let you know what happened next.
Live from the Beasley Media Complex in Boone, this is the Appalachian Weekly News. I'm Zenarmreen Lopez.
And I'm Stephen Biddix.
Many people across Watauga County constantly struggle with food insecurity. Our correspondent Grace Powers has the story on an event using sustainability to fight food insecurity.
Each year, the town gathers together here on Sanford for a locally sourced meal known as the Community Feast. But 30% of Watauga residents don't have dependable access to food. But this event highlights how sustainability can be the key to fighting food insecurity.
The Community Feast is organized by the Appalachian Food Research for Equity, Sustainability, and Health Collaborative. The goals of the event are to encourage conversation about the importance of sustainable food, minimizing waste, maximizing local food sourcing, and providing resources for those who are food insecure. I talked to App State's Sustainability Outreach Director, Rebecca Walton, about how sustainability correlates to food insecurity.
Equity plays a huge part in sustainability. If we want a sustainable world, everybody needs to have equitable solutions and just have as much equity as possible. And so food insecurity is an unfortunate circumstance that a lot of people find themselves in when they're in unequitable situations. And so you can't have sustainable food without equity.
I also spoke with Carla Ramsdell of the Physics and Astronomy Department about one of her sustainable initiatives targeting food insecurity.
We're initiating a series of cooking classes called Cooking with Purpose. You can contact the Office of Sustainability about those. This semester they're targeted for students who are food insecure that don't feel confident with their cooking skills. And so we just meet on Zoom. It's really fun. There's no prior cooking skills necessary. The Office of Sustainability Mountaineer Food Pantry is providing all the ingredients. So it's kind of like a Blue Apron. You just grab the ingredients and then you join me on a Zoom call.
If you or someone you know is struggling with food insecurity, make sure to visit casemanagement.appstate.edu/food insecurity for a detailed list of resources for on-campus and off-campus food pantries. For the Appalachian Weekly News, I'm Grace Powers.
And that's a report this week. I'm Zanarmin Lopez.
And I'm Stephen Biddix.
For all of us at Appalachian Weekly News, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
What a week it was last week for App State sports. We had a load of big wins across several sports. To kick things off, in their final regular season weekend of the semester, the women's soccer team won their first 2 in-conference games, beating Louisiana in their first match and Little Rock University in their second. Against the Raging Cajuns, the Mountaineers played 90 strong minutes of soccer to claim their first in-conference win 2-0. App State took the lead after just 16 minutes of play, when in the 16th minute of the contest, Haley Boyle sent a pass into the box that Brecklin Monteith took advantage of to find the back of the net. Their lead was only extended when sophomore midfielder Katie Fuller scored her first career goal for the Black and Gold 10 minutes into the second half. Junior goalie Carrie Eagleston had a phenomenal day in the net, seeing 11 shots come her way from the Louisiana offense, but keeping the goal safe and not letting a single one pass her. Eagleston is now just 1 shutout away from tying Emma White for the 4th most shutouts in program history. In their final regular game of the season, the team rallied once again and took down the Little Rock Trojans in a 2-1 victory to close out the weekend. Brecklin Monteith scored both goals for the Mountaineers in an explosive weekend finish to end the season with 8 total goals. With the lead secured by Monteith, it was up to the defense to hold down the game, and they delivered. The team only gave up 6 shots to the Trojans, and Carrie Eagleston held down the net and saved 5 of those shots. This concluded the regular season for the Mountaineers as they ended with a 6-10-1 overall record and a 2-8 in conference record. But even with the season over, the team now has the rest of the week to prepare for the Sun Belt Championship tournament that will start on November 1st. Both the men's and women's cross-country teams also wrapped up their seasons this weekend as they traveled to Charlotte, North Carolina to participate in the Wildcat Cross Country Classic. Both teams finished their season strong and took first in the meet. The men's AK finished with an impressive 22 points on the day, with 6 Mountaineer runners finishing in the top 6, and 5 of those runners having personal best times. Jackson Nichols and Caleb Kirchhoff led the Mountaineers and finished 3rd and 4th overall and 1st and 2nd for the team. Both ran personal best times of 25 minutes and 11 seconds and 25 minutes and 22 seconds, respectively. Ben Date and Jonah Morris continued the streak for the Mountaineers, coming in 5th and 9th. App State was rounded out by Michael Marin and Charles Pace, who each ran a season best time for 10th and 11th place. The women's team finished first as well, tallying 20 points on the day, with no other team even coming close to them, as the second place team had 64. 9 of the App State runners finished in the top 10. Sarah McIntosh finished first for the Mountaineers and second overall with a personal best time of 18 minutes and 21 seconds. Allison Esparza and Taylor Houston took third and fourth respectively, with both seeing record times. Abby Gramberg, Madison Christie, and Lana Ferris rounded out the day for the Mountaineers, with each running just over 19 minutes. After their win streak last weekend, the volleyball team traveled down south to Texas to play both UT Arlington and Texas State, falling to both teams. The Mountaineers fell to UT Arlington 3-0 in 3 straight sets, falling just short in each one. Anna Kincaid led the offense for the Mountaineers, finishing the day with 10 kills and a .318 hitting percentage. Lulu Ambrose also played well, recording 7 kills of her own and a .222 hitting percentage. On defense, McCall Denny recorded 6 digs, Sophie Kane 7, and graduate student libero Emma Riley a team best 8 digs. App State was not able to rally in their second game and fell to the Texas State Bobcats 3-1. The Mountaineers were able to take their first set of the weekend in the second against the Bobcats in a big 25-16 set. Unfortunately, the Black and Gold fell in sets 3 and 4 for their second loss of the weekend. McCall Denny had a phenomenal night against Texas State, finishing the game with 22 kills and 6 digs, while Victoria Wilform added 12 kills and Lulu Ambrose and Darren Armstrong each had 6 kills. Emma Riley finished with a match-high 26 digs, and Sam Bickley finished with 38 assists and 7 digs. The Mountaineers are now 7-15 overall and 3-7 in conference play. They will be on the road next week as they travel to Alabama to play both South Alabama and Troy. In their final home game of the regular season, the Mountaineers field hockey team hosted the nationally ranked number 22 Kent State Golden Flashes right here in Boone. Unfortunately, the Black and Gold fell to Kent State 2-1 after forcing 10 minutes of overtime at the end of the game. In a showdown between the two goalies with the highest save percentages in the MAC, a high-scoring game wasn't going to happen. The first goal was not scored until 30 minutes into the game, when Kent State took their first lead. The Mountaineers fought hard and never gave up, and it paid off. A corner start with no time left on the clock gave Polly Mangold the chance to score a tying goal to force the overtime. Overtime lasted for 10 minutes before the Golden Flashes were able to take advantage of the long game and score the final goal. The Mountaineers are now 6-7 overall and 2-4 in conference play. There are only 2 more regular season games left in the season, as the Black and Gold travel to Mount Pleasant, Michigan to play Central Michigan on both Friday and Saturday. The Mountaineers must win their game on Friday, and Ohio must lose to Longwood University for App State to be eligible for the MAC Championship Tournament in November. When we come back, we will take a look at what the players and coaches of the men's basketball team had to say about their upcoming season.
Let's go! To a place where you can grow.
A place to be heard.
And take a closer look.
A place where you can crush it.
And push yourself.
A place to find your voice.
This place rocks. And rolls.
A place where you can get out.
Wow!
A place you'll never forget.
So where is this place? Let me show you.
Up late App State, Sundays at 9.
Get out of here. Just go.
Hi neighbor, I'm Ryan Perone. Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. as we explore the people, events, and organizations that make the High Country so special. You can tune in on Channel 198 for Spectrum customers, Channels 20 or 1020 for Sky Best customers, or Channel 23-3 on campus. Until then, bye neighbor.
Hola, soy Brenda de Buenos Días Boone. Así que venga a pasar sus mañanas con nosotros y sintonice en el campus o en los canales locales. Nos vemos pronto y que tengas un buen día, Boone. See you soon and have a good day.
The men's basketball team season is getting ready to get underway here in the coming weeks with their season opener set for November 9th against Iona. Let's take a look to see what the players and coaches had to say about their upcoming season.
Talking about things in terms of being, literally the hunted?
Sure. I mean, and obviously expectations are good. All right, you never want expectations to be low, but it can't be our focus. In life, I've told our guys you can't repeat anything. You can try to recreate stuff, and we can recreate the harmony and the chemistry really through committing ourselves back to the values and standards of our program. But good teams have a hungry, humble approach, and good teams come to the gym every day. We got to get better today, and I think that's been our focus with this team because there are some expectations now, and I got some guys in the locker room that this is new for them. And credit to those guys, they're part of changing the direction of the program. But this is a new approach, some new buzzwords, some new things with our program. So to answer your question, yes.
One thing is we're not sneaking up on anybody. Like you said, there's a target on our backs, and so we've been preaching since the off season. We got to be better. We can't come in as the same team we were last year. We have to be a better version of ourselves this year, and if we do that, we'll have to change our mentality, and we're gonna have to just go day by day if we want to validate this.
I think a good advantage for our program and our culture is the message is a little different, but it's also the same because we've always been process oriented. And so we never set the goal last year of winning the Sun Belt Championship. We've always had the message of if we do these certain things and take care of these certain aspects on and off the court, everything else will take care of itself. So like Coach Monahan said, as we've tried to improve in certain areas going into this season, the message is still the same, that if we handle these issues in these areas and take care of the culture and within the locker room, on the court and off the court, then everything else will take care of itself and everything else will fall into place.
And it still comes down to the standards, the alignment. A lot of times it's chemistry. And so making sure we maintain some of the strengths of our group, that's a day-to-day process. And I don't think anybody gets lost in what Game 10 is going to look like. We're just trying to be good today. And Coach Kearns does a really good job of making sure that's our focus as well as that's our players' focus.
What are maybe one or two of those areas, that you want to make sure that you sharpen up this year and, that just makes you a tougher out at the end of the day?
To be honest, is everything. I think, we weren't perfect last year, obviously, but we have a lot of stuff that we need to work on. Our defense needs to be better. We have to be more consistent on offense. And it's just, that's what our main focus was, just getting better at everything this summer.
I'll say consistency is a good word that Mike uses, not just for an offense or a defense. It's just being a consistent team. Whatever we show it night in, night out. And, so we don't have people think that, maybe they just got lucky this night or that night. We just really want to be consistent as a team and play as hard as we can every night.
What does it take to be effective as a reigning champion when you come in and you're not going to surprise anybody?
Last year is last year. This is a new year. We're going to get everybody's best game, and we got to know that coming off a Sun Belt championship. So I think we just need to lock in a little bit more than ever, really, because it's going to be harder to win. And just learning how to stay together through adversity is going to help us out a lot this year.
Well, that's all we have time for this week. I'm Allie Powell. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The A-Game Sports. You can also catch every episode of The A-Game on demand on YouTube at AppTV. We will see you next week on The A-Game.